Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin this lesson by giving all glory, all honor, and all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash, giving double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who surely do rule well, to the men standing by the highways and byways pushing destruction. I'd like to say shalom. And even unto the sincere Akwati sisters who sit listen these lessons in silence, subjection, obedience unto their husbands, I'd like to say shalom. All right, there's a brother here, Ma'ashara, from the Heralds of Yahweh come back to you again with another bit of edification, and Lord's willing, this lesson is edifying. Right, the word of the day here, genteel, another word of the day, what it means. Genteel means of or relating to people who have high social status. It can be somewhat used as can be used as a somewhat old-fashioned synonym of aristocrat. It can also be used to describe something with a quietly appealing or polite quality, as in genteel manners. Right? Did you know a history of the novel 1975 David Freeman wrote the Theodore Dreiser? Certainly there was nothing genteel about Dreiser, neither as a man nor as a novelist. Right? Right, blah, blah, blah. Now going here, I wanna take a look more at the word now, at the part of the word or the aspect of the word which refers to what? Right? Which refers to people who have high social status, right? Or what? Aristocrat. Just give me a minute here. Right? The word here, aristocrat, belonging to or having the qualities of or favoring aristocracy, right? Socially exclusive, notably superior or excellent. Now, are there still aristocrats in the earth today? Are there still people who belong to the high social status or the ruling class in the earth today? Yes, they are, right? So, who are the aristocrats in the earth today? Well, it's the Edomites, right? This is the last empire. We are currently living in the last empire before we see the return of the Son of Man. And the people who the Son of Man have to meet in power upon his return are the Edomites, right? 2 Ezra 6, I'm reading from verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part and asunder of the times, right? The dividing of the times from the times, right? Or when shall be the end of the first time and the beginning of it that follow it, right? So there's a first time, and then there's a beginning of the time that follow it, the time after. And he said unto me, from when Abraham unto Isaac, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world. Remember earlier we were speaking of times, verse 7. So what this world goes into eon, age, time, period, right? And Jacob is the beginning of the time which follow it, right? The beginning of it that follow it, the time that follow it. The Edomites are still here today, which is what I wanted to get into, right? This word here, when we go into it, is proof that the Edomites still exist today, right? Ecclesiastes 4 and 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this is also vanity and vexation of spirit. But what we know, there is no end of the people. As of right now, there has no race of people, or nation rather, of people that have existed in the earth that the Lord created that have been wiped out. The Edomites are still here today. They are the genteel people of the world today, right? Before we get into that, I just want to make a quick mention here. Esau cannot hide himself. He cannot pretend that he does not exist, as though the Most High does not know he still exists, right? He cannot fool power, right? Jeremiah 49, verse 10. But I have made Esau bare I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Esau cannot hide himself. We know he still exists in the earth today. Isaiah 29:15 warned to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, right? And what do they discuss in these councils? How can we continue to pretend to not exist? And their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Right? Isaiah 47 and verse 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, and thou hast said, none seeth me. Thou hast trusted in the wicked deeds that thou hast done, like pretending to not exist, and that say that none seeth me. But we do see you, Esau. We know you are still here, right? And through this word genteel, we're gonna prove that it's still here, right? Because I thinking of this word here, genteel, and it made me to think of this word that we see in scriptures that speak of the Edomite nation, right? Because it makes mention of what when you go into that word genteel, right? What it's so you can be used as a somewhat old-fashioned synonym of aristocratic, right, or aristocrat, right? What is a title, a synonym of a word you know when you think of the word aristocrat? I could give you one, Duke. The Genesis 36, and we reading from verse 1, right? Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom, right? So his descendants, his progeny, right? Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Aholibama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, blah, 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 right? Jumping down, verse 8, thus dwelt these Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom, and these are the generations of Esau, the father, the progenitor of the Edomites, his progeny in Mount Seir. So now we're looking at the descendants of Esau, right? Reading Genesis 36 and 14 now. So these people are what? The people who descended from Esau. Genesis 36:14. And these were the sons of Aholibama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jeush and Jaalam and Korah. Right, verse 15. These were dukes of the sons of Esau. Duke, like an aristocrat, a gentile. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zephyr, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek. That motherfucker. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. And these are the sons of Ruel, Esau's son, Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Ruel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashimath, Esau's wife. And these are the dukes of Aholibama, Esau's wife, Duke Jeush, Duke Jalam, Duke Korah. These are the dukes that came of Aholibama, the daughter of Ano, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, who inhabited the land, Lotan and Shobal and Zibeon and Anah, and Dishon and Ezer and Dishan. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir, in the land of Edom. Now jumping down, right, to verse 40. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families after their places by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jeheth, Duke Aholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Penon, Duke Kenaz, Duke Timon, Duke Mibzah, Duke Magdiel, Duke Aram. These be the dukes of Edom according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. So we see that Edomites commonly refer to themselves as dukes, right? What does the word duke mean? Let's go into it. Right? There's Genesis to the 6th, could go here to the last verse, right? Some the Hebrew Strong's 441 Karen Laivashim Yashai Basham Kakodash. Is it? Duke, right? Goes into the word alap or alawap, right? Tame, docile friend, intimate, chief, right? From Hebrew 5, Strong's 502, familiar friend, right? Also gentle, hence a bullock, has been tame, applied, although masculine to a cow, and so it is chieftain, as notable as neat cattle, captain, duke, chief friend, governor, right? Right? But what do we also know about the word duke in the earth today? What does it refer to? Right? Going into it, what is a duke? Right? So we see that these people, since their beginning in Genesis 36, and I say beginning loosely, well, since the nation became, right? Since Esau became a nation, right? A duke is a high-ranking member of the nobility, traditionally governing a territory known as a duchy or holding a prestigious title below royalty. The highest rank in the British peerage system below the royal family, they are addressed as Your Grace, right? Let me see. The term comes from the Latin dux, meaning leader, historically referring to a military commander, right? Key aspects of a duke rank: highest rank in the British peerage below royalty hierarchy, duke ranks below monarchs, royal dukes in the UK. These are members of the royal family, such as the Duke of Edinburgh or the Duke of Sussex, created by the monarch. Wife: a duke's wife is called a duchess. Origin: historically, they were trusted allies governing large territories, often with immense power and land. Historically, as well, they were also Edomites. Modern day, primarily honorific titles, with holders often involved in public duty. Right? Now we see what? This word genteel, a synonym of it, or it is a synonym as well of what? Aristocratic, right? So I then ask the question, well, is a duke an aristocrat? Right? Yes, a duke is considered an aristocrat and holds the highest hereditary rank in peerage below the monarch. As members of the nobility, dukes and duchesses possess significant social status and historically held vast land and power. In the UK, they are ranked just below royalty and are addressed as Your Grace. Right, nobility versus royalty. While all dukes are aristocrats, some are also members of the royal family, known as royal dukes. Right, right. So what we see that this term duke is still in the earth today. Right. Going to this question I asked: are there any people in the earth today who are high ranking and still call themselves dukes, or ever refer to themselves as dukes? Right. Yes, there are several high-ranking people on earth today, primarily in the United Kingdom and Spain, who hold, use, and are referred to by the title of Duke or Duchess. But who did we see first using that title in the scriptures? Is it not the Edomites? He shall not be able to hide himself. He still uses titles in the earth today that he used all the way back then when he became a nation, While they are no longer sovereign rulers, with the exception of the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, a duke remains the highest hereditary rank, right, in the peerage of the United Kingdom and Spain. Let me see something. Just want to see what that word hereditary means. No. Hereditary mean passed or capable of being passed from parent to offspring by means of genes, right? Leave their substance unto their babes, their ranks, their titles, and their nobilities. They pass it down to their children, just like Genesis 36, right? Prominent dukes and duchesses today, 2026, Royal Dukes, United Kingdom, Prince William, Prince Harry, Prince Edward, Prince Richard, Prince Edward, right? Duke of Sussex, Duke of Cornwall, Duke of Edinburgh, Duke of Gloucester, Duke of Kent, right? Non-royal dukes, right? Spanish royals nobility, Infantina Elena, Duchess of Lugo, Infanta Margarita, Duchess of Soria, right? And blase, blase, blah. So we see there are still prominent people in society today or in the earth today, and I use that term prominent loosely, right? Because we know these people is not the people with the real power, that is real nobility, the rich banking elite. But what we see in people in the earth today, right? Let's look up one of these fellas, any one of them. Let me see. Prince William, what he look like to you? Prince Harry on the right, what he look like to you? What these fellas look like to you? But the Edomites not here no more. So we see in here again people referring to themselves as dukes. You're seeing how these fellas looking, and you're asking yourself the question: are the Edomites still here today? Yes, they are. The Edomites are these people, the so-called whitey people of the earth today, or as people like to refer to themselves scientifically, Caucasians or Caucasoids or whatever the case may be. These people still exist, still to this day, right? Now we know when we go into this word genteel, it goes into what? It goes into referring to of relating to people who have high social status or what the ruling class. Even Salakia, even the way they rule, you could go in scripture and find similarities with the way the people who rule the world today rule. We could go in scriptures and find people ruling like that as well, right? Go in here to the book of First Maccabees 8. I'm gonna go to verse. Let's see here. Right, this First Maccabees 8, and we're gonna read from verse. I'm gonna read from verse 23. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews by the sea and by land forever. The sword also and the enemy be far from them. If they come first any war upon the Romans or any of their confederates through all their dominion, the people of the Jews shall help them, as the time shall be appointed with all their heart. Right, so we see in here, when you go, of course, to the Romans, the people who ruled in Rome, right? Again, when you go to Daniel, it makes mention of these people being prophesied to rule. Daniel 7:3. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. And funny enough, it makes mention of them being diverse, right? Who was the one who was more diverse than the rest? The Romans. Why? Because of the way in which they came into power and upheld their power. Again, we read it, the hereditary, the power is passed from father to son, son to grandson, and so on and so forth. Well, this fourth beast, the Roman beast, right, the fourth kingdom or empire that ruled in the earth as prophesied by Daniel, ruled differently, right? Verse 7, Daniel 7 and 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of the beasts, right, the kingdoms, with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, right? Jumping now. Salakia to verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, speaking of the armies, right? The powerful military might that was dominant in the earth. Eliashamba loves to use that word to describe them. They were very dominant, and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, right? Let me see. Reading verse 23, and he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse, different from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Right, the fourth beast, the fourth kingdom, which is what we just read in that first Maccabees, which makes mention of what the Romans, right? Let me see. Verse 24, and the 10 horns out of his kingdom, 10 vassal states are the 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall think to wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. So he was so diverse that he devised his own way to rule, right, with his own times, his own laws, his own regulations, right? And they shall be given into his hand the power to do these things until a time and times and a dividing of times, right? Going now to Daniel 8 and verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, right, this Roman Empire, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people, right? Right, verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his land, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So what his policies. Now when you read scriptures, it make mention of what? Let me see. First Maccabees 8 and verse 15. Moreover, which again, when we go down in this, it make mention again, verse 21, the Romans, right? Moreover, how they had made for themselves. In fact, I'll read. Let me see. Now I'll read verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that join themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. Right? Jumping now with verse 2, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and their noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them, right, stamped the residue of the feet, with their feet, and brought them under tribute. Right, verse 4, and that by their policy, which again we just read about policies, this beast would have policies, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them, and the kings also that came against them, right, though very far, the vassal states, right, came against them from the uttermost parts of the earth till they had discomforted them, and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year, right? Now going Going on to verse 15, right? In fact, I'll read verse 13. Also, that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, whom again they displace finally, that they were greatly exalted, right? This fourth kingdom, this fourth beast was not like any beast that ever reigned in the earth. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, right? And that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over, right, the Caesar, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them, right? And then, sorry, verse 19, then went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, right? So we understand that these people rule and operate through what? Through the use of a Senate. Now, what is a Senate? Right? So we find in through scriptures that the Romans, people who was promised to have dominion, power, and a kingdom, right, who was the fourth beast spoken of by Daniel, right? When you read Revelation 12, the beast that, or that dragon that John is speaking about is the Roman Empire, right? They operated through use of a senate. They ruled through a senate and appointed all their power, right? It make mention of seeing 320 men, right? They gave all their power to this one man, right? So what is a senate? A senate is typically the upper house or chamber of a bicameral legislator, acting as a house of review to scrutinize, amend, or reject legislation policies passed by a lower house. It is often designed to provide more stability and deliberate, sober second thought to lawmaking compared to the more populated, directly elected lower house. Key aspects of a Senate primarily acts as a chamber of review with committees that examine legislation, policy, and government administration. Composition often features a smaller fixed number of members compared to the lower house, serving longer terms. Selection members may be elected, example, U.S. Senate, 2 per state, or appointed, example, Trinidad and Tobago, Canada. Power usually possesses equal or near equal legislative power, right? To the Daniel 7:25 is shared with the lower house with exclusive powers to approve higher level appointments or treaties. Examples, U.S. Senate, 100 members, 2 per state, elected for 6-year terms with strong powers, or executive nominations and threats, which we know again the US of A. New Babylon is what is the manifestation of the revived Roman Empire, or even I like to say the reincarnation of the revived Roman Empire in the world today. So just like how ancient Rome operated through a Senate, we see US of A operated through a Senate. And who was the Roman Empire? Which people were they? Well, when you go to Genesis chapter 27 and read from verse 28, we know it wasn't Israelites, because what? If we could just go back to it real quick. First Maccabees 8. Let's see. Right. Verse 23, good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews. So they definitely differentiated that these people, these Romans, were not Jews, right? And we see clearly when we read Daniel that this empire, this fourth beast, this fourth kingdom, was promised to be given and have dominion over the whole compass of the earth. Even what? Just reading real quick, 2 Ezra 11, is it verse 39? Right? Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts? So the last of the four beasts, the fourth beast, whom I made to reign in my world, to reign in my world. Now, when we look at the blessing or the prophecy of how these people would reign, they would reign and have control over the compass of the entire earth. When we go to that Genesis, we're gonna see there was only two people blessed, to have that kind of rule in the earth. One being Jacob, one being Esau. And Jacob is the Jews. As we read in that first Maccabees 8:23, it said the Romans and the Jews, they definitely made a distinction, right? So the Romans are not the Jews, and the Jews are not the Romans, right? By nation, by nationality. So who were the Romans, right? If Rome ruling the entire earth, we know, even when you think about it, Jacob being blessed to rule the entire earth, that has to be shared with all 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. 3 tribes alone can rule the entire earth, and you say Jacob fulfill the blessing there. No, it has to be the 12 tribes. And we know the Jews were mainly comprised of who? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, the southern kingdom. So if Jews ruled the entire earth at that time, if that way you're trying to say, it still couldn't make sense, because for Israel to be able to do that, to fulfill Jacob's blessing, the entirety of the 12 tribes that are ruled. So the Romans, who had control and complete dominance of the whole compass of the earth, had to be who? If not Jacob, it would have to be Esau, right? Reading this, 2nd Ezra 11:40, in fact, continuing verse 39, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them. Verse 40, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts, all the kingdoms that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness again. Great iron teeth stamped the residue of it with the feet thereof, right? And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. Now again, for this fourth beast or this fourth kingdom to be able to have compass of the entire earth, as second Ezra is validating through this prophecy, they need to be blessed to do so. Nebuchadnezzar, the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, did they rule the entire earth? No. The Medes and the Persians, did they rule the entire earth? No. Even David and Solomon, they had control over some parts of the earth, but did they rule the entirety of the earth? No. This empire, however, did. Who was blessed to do that? Esau, right? And we see that the way in which they rule and the way in which they govern with their policies and the Senate and the legislation and all that garbage, what? It's still here in the earth today. We just see the great US of A. So it's not the Edomites. Let me just read that real quick. Would that not mean that the Edomites still in the earth today? Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that had been, right, the way these people operate, it is that which shall be, and the thing which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Esau does not operate in any way new. He operates in the confines of the way the Lord made him to operate. He's still calling himself a duke today. Can he hide himself? No, he can't. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had been already of old. So these what we see in here today is nothing new. It's just our next Roman Empire in the earth today, ruled by the same Edomites, right? Of old time which was before us, right? It had been already of old time which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after, right? So we understand that there's nothing new under the sun. This is why we see that this empire, which was quite back in the times of Yahushua, and even before that, we see that we could look today and see people still operating in that same stead. We could go back all the way to Genesis 38 when Esau became a nation, and we they referring to themselves as dukes, and we still see people doing that today. So what I mean, Esau is still in the earth. Right, second Ezra 11:40, and the fourth overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression, and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. All right, so these people are still here in the earth today. Proof: the only people who were blessed to be able to rule over the whole compass of the earth was who? Jacob, Esau. We established firmly that the Romans are not of the children of Israel. So who are they? Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. But the kicker right here, verse 39, and Isaac his father said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. You shall live in the whole compass of the earth. There's no way your feet can tread, right? And of the dew of heaven, you have the blessing from heaven. The Most High gave you the power to rule the earth, right? This whole earth belongs to you. You're fucking up with it, but it does belong to you, right? Job 9:24. And real quick before we go there, waiters, because something that just come to my mind, right? Duke. Let's see. Salake was